You're just leaving because you don't want to get in the hot tub.
No,
That's why you're leaving.
You know what?
You're leaving because you don't want to get in the hot tub.
Let's wait. We'll talk about this because I have something that I want to bring up on that.
Okay.
So
you're either on the bus or you're off the bus.
Welcome aboard episode 47 of Ridin the Bus, the official Iowa Wild podcast presented by Central Iowa Pool and Spa is headed your way. Ben Gislason, and for the last time, Joey Goldstein, my co-host, my friend, and this is a tough day, Joey. I'm sad to announce that Joey Goldstein will be, I'm also excited though for you two, headed home to the Worcester, Boston area, and you're going to get to go home for the first time in a decade, taking a new position there and leaving the Iowa Wild after a wildly successful career. And this will be the final episode with you as the co-host, and I am both excited for you because I know how important your family is, I know how important your friends are, and you're getting to go home, but I'm losing a co-host and I'm losing a friend here. You're not dying. But you're leaving Iowa, and it's bittersweet for sure. And yeah, that's what I got for our open today. I'm going to miss you, man.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss getting to do this. This is it's like a bonus part of the job.
Something you probably never thought was going to happen.
Doing the podcast
right?
is not part of my job description, and
it's not a part of mine either.
It was not like when I did the podcast in San Jose with Nick Nolenberger, who you know, and it was kind of spun through the same thing that we started here, and it's a fun thing to do, just kind of talk about the team, fill people in a little bit more, show them behind the curtain a little bit, and doing it here has been so much fun. So I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss a lot of parts of it. But I'll miss being able to do the podcast. I'm going to listen to it still constantly.
So our listenership's going to go up.
Yeah, subscribe, review. I'm going to do all that stuff.
Losing a host, but gaining a fan.
Yeah, now it won't be weird if you're like Joey Goldstein left a 5-star review. Now it won't be weird because I'm not on the show anymore. So now I'm going to do that. So I'll be sure to do that. But yeah, it's going to be different, and we can get into it a little bit more. I mean, my plan is to come back out here to visit. Like I want to come back for the concert weekend, and I know you guys are actually coming out to Massachusetts for a homestand against the Thunderbirds, so my hope is to head out there for those games as well, and I do want to come back for the state fair just in general because it's a fun time, but we got a title to defend, which
yes, you do.
So it's it's not going to be, it's not goodbye to Iowa forever, it's just goodbye to this role for right now, but we're going to kind of combine periods 1 and 2.
Yep.
So quick ad read, obviously, for Central Iowa Pool and Spa. Unwind and de-stress with a luxurious Sundance spa, which that's one that we have in the locker room, correct?
It is, yeah. The hip jets, which are nice.
Great reviews so far. Now we're a couple of weeks in.
Wonderful reviews.
Good. Our hot tubs offer the ultimate relaxation and hydrotherapy. Enjoy the soothing benefits of warm water massage while reducing muscle tension and improving circulation. Create a tranquil oasis in your own backyard. Visit our showroom to experience the difference a Sundance Spa can make. Call us at 515-263-6900 or stop in at the store on Northeast 14th Street. And you made a comment before we jumped in here that I need to bring up because I'm going to refute this. You had said I was just doing this so I wouldn't have to do an episode in the hot tub. Boy, could you not be more wrong. When we had talked about, hey, this is going to be the last episode, I almost went to you and said we should do it in the hot tub. The last episode should be in the hot tub. I didn't. Big mistake on my part. Now we're here and Ben thinking that I just don't want to sit in the hot tub, which is ludicrous. But yeah, why wouldn't I want to sit in a hot tub?
Well, the hot tub episode is still going to happen. The really unique part about it now is I'm going to have to, I don't know how I'm going to coax. We already were going to have to coax the guest into the hot tub.
You think so? I think it would be pretty easy.
Only because there's a camera on you, though. It makes things different when there's a camera on you sitting in a hot tub, in my opinion.
Yes.
We've done it.
We did the cold tub.
You were in the hot tub. Mason, Shaw, and I were in the cold tub.
Yeah.
And that's for those tuning in, that's going to be what this episode is. Joey, you mentioned it. First and second period will be combined. It might look more like a soccer match today than a hockey game where we're going to have 2 halves as opposed to 3 periods.
Yeah.
And really, thinking about today, we had some players we could have brought in as a guest, but when this turned into your final episode, it will not be Riding the Bus's final episode. We have plans to keep this thing going, but it'll be with obviously a different co-host. But I sat thinking on the bus on the way back from Chicago and just went, this episode to me is about what these first 47 episodes have been. Let's reminisce on some of the great times, the big laughs, the bets, me putting hockey equipment on, you putting goalie equipment on. There's a lot that we can touch on that I think fans that lived that with us will enjoy talking it through. Maybe fans that didn't live with us can now go, wow, wait a second. Joey was in goal at one point going against Ty Ronning. Yes, this happened. So now you can go back and maybe find some of these episodes. And it is really, it's a celebration today of what was a fantastic 47 episodes and really bidding you farewell the correct way. And later on in our episode, we have a huge surprise for you, Joey. It's a huge surprise, and that's all I'm going to say. We're going to get to that in the third period, second half, whatever you want to call it. So stay tuned for that.
I'm going to try to uncover this as we're talking here.
I will
very
not
curious.
give you any hints.
None.
No.
Not a single clue.
Only if I'm...
Does Abby know? Like if I
Abby
say
knows.
something and I could
Abby
look back,
knows.
would she smirk and give it away, you think?
She's shaking her head no. She's stone cold over there. She's like Fort Knox. She's not giving anything up.
All right. Well, now you kind of got me wanting to, like, kind of, I don't want to rush through it, but I kind of want to get to the end.
want you as surprised as you were when we found out that the cow chip throwing contest wasn't happening, but it'll be in a positive way, not the negative way that we, of course, then capitalized on and made a really funny video at your expense out of. So it'll be a positive, but that's the level of surprise that I'm hoping we can deliver on today.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we shall see.
Well, before we get to some reminiscing, some storytelling, some memories, we should touch on the current
Let's
state
talk about the team.
of the Iowa Wild.
Yeah.
And I know you're someone that, as we've talked off air, just because you're leaving, you're still planning on paying very keen attention to this team. And obviously, it doesn't take a Scotty Bowman type hockey mind to figure out the Iowa Wild are not where they want to be with 1 win in their first 8 tries. But it's been a weird start. Really weird when you just, and I've said it on the broadcast a few times, when you look at the peripheral numbers of this team, what they generate scoring chance-wise, what they give up shots against-wise, scoring chance-wise, who they have in goal. I'm terrible at math. This math doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up. And listen, ask Brett McLean, and he really said it, I think, pretty poignantly. The day before, or a couple of days before the Chicago win, the last game in Texas, he said, like, look, you can say all you want about we feel like we're playing the right way and we feel like we're doing this, which they felt that for a lot of these games and a lot of these losses, but eventually that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It maybe means something for the first 3 to 4 games because you're like, all right, eventually it's going to turn, but then when that losing streak doubles, then it doesn't matter anymore. Eventually something has to turn. It did in Chicago. It wasn't all that sexy of a win, but when you're 0-7 or 0-6-1, it does not matter how you get it done. You get it done. They did get it done. What a moment for Kyle Masters scoring his first AHL goal in a huge pressure cooker situation. Jesper Wallstedt was brilliant in that game. He was brilliant the game before in Texas, so it feels like he's returned to form a little bit after a rocky few periods in San Jose. He was great in his opening 2 periods in San Jose, but now the question is, you beat Chicago. For me, does the team take a big sigh of relief and say, oh, we're okay? Because you're still not okay. You got to start winning now.
Yeah.
Or do they go, all right, now that's behind us. We know we've played some really, really good hockey. Now let's make sure, to use Brett's words, do whatever it takes to win, which they were way better, I thought, in Texas in the loss to go in that overtime loss than they were in Chicago. Funny how it works sometimes.
Yeah.
Hockey is a cruel game and you don't always get what you deserve, which Devin Shore said before the broadcast in Chicago. He said exactly that. Hockey doesn't owe you anything.
Right.
I thought that was a great line. So for me, this podcast is being recorded before the San Jose weekend. I think we'll know a lot about this team after this weekend. Not necessarily saying they have to sweep the Barracuda for us to be like, okay, this team has figured it out, but how do they play?
Yeah, and
what do the games look like? What do the scores look like?
Early in the season, San Jose is a benchmark team in the
Yes,
AHL
they
because
are.
they score a lot of goals. They've obviously got tremendous goaltending in Askarov, who probably shouldn't be at the AHL level, but he is.
The other guy, Romanov's pretty good too.
Yeah, so they've kind of got it figured out, and they've been working on that for a couple of years there. So it's kind of a benchmark piece on where you stack up. I do wonder, like you said, if it's the monkey off the back sort of situation where you look at guys when they're in scoring droughts and whatnot, and they hold the stick too tight, and it's the little things they overthink. Like, you wonder at some point at the way the season started off, like, was that just weighing heavily on people's minds, so much so that it made it hard to just go out there and play simple and do what you need to do to win. Now that weight has been lifted, you have to think maybe they can just go do their thing now, right? That first one's out of the way. Now you go do your thing. And I think, like you said, a lot of scoring chances, ton of shots on goal. They're limiting shots, which is great. I don't know what their 5-on-5 numbers look like, but I know the big thing I think is the special teams.
Huge.
That's been, and we talked about it at the beginning after the Manitoba series, because that's when we were like, hey, if it stays at this clip, they're going to be okay. Well, it hasn't stayed at that clip.
No.
Their power play, they've had a lot of shorthanded opportunities, a lot of shorthanded goals.
Currently 6 shorthanded goals against, 4 power play goals for.
That
cannot happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of crazy for this short amount of games this early in the season. But if you get it to start to click and you start to find that stride, they're going to be okay. The goaltending is fine. The team's going to find ways to score. There's guys who have yet to really make an impact on the score sheet, who you rely on to make that impact, and it's not because they're not trying. It's because they've been they just snake bitten.
Yeah.
Devin Shore's a great example. I can't tell you how many games I've watched in the last couple of weeks where he gets a rebound, pops out onto his stick. He's got the whole net open, and it hits like the nub of a stick or something, like just a ridiculous,
or pops
like
on edge before he shoots.
Yeah, it's just some guys just get unlucky bounces, but like that's hockey. That's the way that it is. I would stand by him, and it's still very early in the season, so like, don't panic, don't freak out. It's still early. We got reinforcements coming, and Graham Clark healthy.
Yes, healthy now.
So he's going to be playing. I don't know if it's going to be as soon as this weekend in San Jose, but probably relatively soon he'll be playing. Minnesota's getting healthy, which means potential more reinforcements coming down as well. So like, the only piece we could be missing is Luke Toporowski right now, who's still working his way back from injury. So like,
and a guy again who has a little finishing touch to his game, which it seems like that's one of the huge vacancies for Iowa right now. It could come externally from a Clark or a Toporowski, or maybe some reinforcements from Minnesota, or like you said, it could come from Devin Shore finally puts one away, and then
floodgates
of
open.
The 8 scoring chances he's been getting per game, 1 or 2 of them start going in per game now. Same for Caden Bankier, who just got his first point in the win in Chicago. That's going to help him. He's someone who came in and I think probably expected to score right away. He hasn't. Great learning experience for a second-year pro. You come in, there was a lot of media noise around him, people talking about him being the guy. He's not the guy right now. It doesn't mean he won't be the guy, maybe as soon as this weekend, but how do you handle the hard? How do you handle the difficulty? And being inside the locker room, I've been impressed by the way this team has handled it so far. They've been even-keeled. They've, again, following their head coach, who's so level and so steady in Brett McLean. And now, when does even-keeled become you're concerned about the conviction level with the team? They're not there yet. It's a nice mix between they're not panicking, they're not losing their minds over the fact that they've only won a game at this point, but they're also not so loose or so out of it where you're going like, well, maybe they don't care.
Yeah.
That couldn't be further from the truth. They've got a good mix of that right now, and I think that's a healthy demeanor to have for a team like this. And all the pieces are there. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new pieces. How do they work together? I mean, we've barely seen the same line on a given night.
Right.
They've changed so much. But now you're finding some of these little pairings. You're finding Caden Bankier and Brendan Gaunce looked pretty good together playing in Chicago. Obviously, Hunter Hayden and Mikey Milne have a little something going. So you're seeing now twosome start to connect, and then now you're trying to find, okay, who do we like with Bankier and Gaunce? Who do we like with Haight, and Milne. And once you find those things, that always takes a while, especially for a team that has 15 new faces on it. And now that you're starting to see that, you're going to start to see the chemistry build a little bit more. And a big, long road trip like the Wild had. Granted, it wasn't all that successful in one, but a ton of time on the road. Everybody in this sport will tell you no better way to get to know
to bring everybody together.
Your group. They just had a Halloween party the other night. That's a great way to get together, and I heard there were some great costumes. I've been trying to get pictures for our social team. They won't give me any, but I've been trying.
Tough.
Yeah, the one I got, it was too creepy of an outfit. I'm like, we're not putting this one on.
Who was it?
Media. I'm going to protect the guilty here on this one.
Fair enough.
There was the one photo I got, and I looked at it, and I was just like, we can't.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah.
We can't put this.
Yeah.
We can't put this out there.
Yeah. But I think the bottom line here is like I think we want to like tell her like don't freak out, don't panic. It's still so early, and do I still think this team has the potential and should be a playoff team within our division? 100%.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's no reason they should not be. I can tell you they're not the worst team in our division. At least I don't think that they are.
No.
Are they going to be at the cream of the crop and at the top of the division? I don't know. It's going to be tough. You got a hole to climb out of, but if you go on a little win streak like Milwaukee did last year, anything is possible.
I was about to say, you win 19 in a row, you're going to be in first place.
Yeah, so like anything can happen, but I this is not a team that should miss the playoffs. So it's, but then there are bright spots too. I mean, Mikey Milne's been unbelievable to start the season. And if I think you said on the broadcast against Texas, but like if somebody gets hurt up there, he's got to be the first guy you're looking at to bring him up, right?
So at this point, I would imagine so.
And which would be awesome for him. Overcoming injuries. He was hurt last year, and he was hurt coming into this year, but it hasn't slowed him down at all, and it's been great to see a guy like that kind of work his way in. I mean, I remember 3 years ago now when he was here for media day, it was one of those like he might be a guy who gets sent back to juniors potentially, and then it was very quick.
He was a surprise.
It was very quickly like,
year.
No, he's going to stick around and he's going to stay here, and it's worked out really well for him, and it's worked out well for the organization, I think, so far.
Yeah, that's right. 2 years ago, he was a surprise. He was maybe not, and he knocked the door in and said, I'm playing here this year. And now, like you said, he is in the discussion for sure for someone that could be called up to Minnesota, which is thrilling for him and a guy that we obviously love.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic to see him get his NHL debut.
Did you pull – I know you were looking at some numbers. Like, do you have some like these are like statistics that we should like share with people and let them know? Because like
I do.
Everybody can look at the results. Everybody can look at the record and say like, hey, this is where things are at. But like if you're not really looking at it, not diving into the numbers deeply like you usually do, it might paint a different picture for some people. So some of that stuff probably worth putting out there.
The things, and I've talked about it on the broadcast because, again, you watch enough hockey, you play enough hockey, you have an idea of what are the valuable stats.
Mm-hmm.
The big head scratcher for me is, and I'm looking at it right now, you've got Iowa, number 6 in the American League in shots per game, 33.63. They've outshot their opponents in 7 of 8 games.
And who else is above them right now?
That's what I'm going to get to. And then you go to Iowa's goals per game and you see 2.25, where they are 28 of 32 teams. You're looking at the shots per game and you're seeing Coachella Valley ahead of them, Texas ahead of them, Charlotte ahead of them, San Jose's right behind them. You're seeing all these teams, for the most part, that are ahead of the Wild, and they're top-tier teams. They're teams that have won a lot. Charlotte's 5-1.
Yep.
Coachella Valley,
Texas is 5-1,
2-3, but they're a good team. We know that. San Jose's 6-1. So they're around all of these top standing teams.
They just need to get them to fall.
And then you go to the other side of it and you say, okay, well maybe they're really porous defensively and they give up oodles of chances. The one thing I will say, Iowa has really struggled at giving up these just complete collapse moments where you're just like, I feel like
you take the foot off the gas a little bit and things
all of a sudden
spiral.
And all of a sudden the Red Sea parts in your own zone and someone has 10 feet to make a pass to the back door, which that they're going to make that pass every time in the American Hockey League. Like that's the thing that is jarring for me defensively for Iowa, is that they just have these moments, these momentary lapses where just everything goes haywire, and you see, like, they've given up some of the easiest goals. I mean, that game in Texas where they got beat on Friday, I think it was 4 or maybe 5 of the 6 were backdoor tap-ins. It's like that or cross-box one-timers where Samuel Halavai had no chance, no shot at making those saves. But volume-wise, they're giving up just over 27 per game. That's 11th best in the American Hockey League. So again, you're seeing them high in those numbers, but then turn it around, just like you turn around the shots to goals per game. Iowa's goals per game 28th. Their shots per game is 6th. Their shots against per game is 11th. Their goals against per game is 31 of 32. So normally that's not how it is. Normally the teams that give up the fewest shots usually give up the fewest goals. If that isn't the case, you normally look at their goaltending and you go, well, they just have bad goaltending. This team does not have bad goaltending. And Samuel Halavai showed us a little bit of what he can do in that Texas game. Granted, there was nothing you hung on him that night because Iowa defensively had a rough night. So that's where I'm getting at it. And a great call bringing it up is it doesn't make sense. And to me, I know fans don't like to hear it, because we're in such a, our society now is so much like, give it to me now, give it to me now, give it to me now. Hockey is, and I just don't think will ever be that way. Every team has rocky stretches. This is a rocky one. It just happens for Iowa that it's happened right at the beginning of the year. And for a while, there wasn't a win behind it. Yeah. And so now it feels that much heavier, where if this team had gone 5-2 to start the year, and then they lose 5-6 in a row, you're like, okay, we evened out, we leveled out, so be it.
It's just tricky at the start of the season. There's so much hype and excitement at the start of a season that when it doesn't start off well, it's easy to look down on it. And you talked goaltending. We didn't even talk about Dylan Ferguson, who played a game for the Heartlanders as of recording this last night. Shutout. So that's a guy who, as soon as he gets into game form, he's going to be a great person to have in the stable too. Like, I think the frustrating part about it is I compare watching the games to, like, if you ever play NHL and you play those games online, where you can have games where you outshoot your opponent 45-10 and they have just a couple like ridiculous garbage goals, and no matter what you do, how often you pepper the goalie, you just can't get one to fall. It's that same kind of frustration when it's watching these guys, because it's not for a lack of effort. It's not that they're not putting shots up. Like, they're generating offense. They just can't get those to fall. And it's like you said earlier, a puck bounces on its side, or someone gets a stick lift at the last second, or the goalie sprawls across and makes a save. Like, that stuff's just been happening. So it's little pieces like that. But I think it's all this stuff, like, it has to work itself out, and it will work itself out. Just going through those numbers, it has to. If it's not going to stay the path that it's going on, it can't. It statistically cannot.
No, it can't. It can't. It has to turn, and I think it will. And like we were saying, I do think this weekend is a great litmus test for this Wild team. Now that they've studied some things out, they've played 5 straight really good periods. That third in Chicago wasn't great, but they still found a way to score and win the game. And really, that third actually wasn't even that bad. It was just they fell asleep on the power play for a minute, and all of a sudden the game was tied. So you're actually looking at it from a period perspective. They may have not hated their third period all that much. It was just these big lapses, these big collapses that end up costing Iowa. They've given up goals in a hurry this year. That's been one of the biggest things that's plagued them. 5 against in 5 minutes in San Jose, and Texas in that second period of the first night, the game turned on them fast. And if they can limit that from 3 goals against, 4 goals against to 1 goal against in those bad stretches, the game can turn really, really quickly. Because all of a sudden you're going into the third period and the game's tied, or you're down 1. You're not going into the third period down 5 like you were in San Jose a couple of weekends ago. But in any event, the patience is going to be preached for the fans, and I think we can really leave it at that. Still excited about this team. Certainly have not written them off by any stretch of the imagination, nor should you. But our fans care, and when you see negative stuff online, you weigh it because you go, that means they care too.
Yeah,
I think it would be. And I'm not suggesting I hate social media more than most people, but there's another side of it when you see some of those comments where you're just like, you need to see a few of them because it means there are people out there that are watching and care every single night about this team winning. So Brooklyn Dean's probably like, stop saying that, Ben. You're encouraging people to say terrible things. But bear with this team. That's my final parting shot on what the Wild have been so far, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get into riding the bus memories, we're actually going to have to split this into 3 parts. I got to take a pause. I got to talk to Brendan Gauntz about a community initiative real quick so I can get him out of here.
So we are going to have 3 periods.
We are going to have 3 periods. Surprise, surprise. We'll do that. We'll be back. See you in a sec.
An unexpected period too.
We're back. We're back. We both went. We were like, it's like, oh, I got to talk to Brendan Gauntz. I got to talk to Joe Ciccone, and we went over there, and
I got swarmed.
Yeah, it was a lot more talking than I think we were planning on.
Swarmed by players.
We're back.
So we're back, and let's hit the highlights, Joey. I sat this morning as we ready for this, and I went through episode by episode.
That's what I'm looking at right now
on Spotify, and I read the intros and I read the descriptions, and it really helped me jog a lot of just the truly wonderful moments that we've had. Some that weren't that wonderful in the moment, but turned out to, as we knew they would be, great stories and great memories. When I think about it, I'm sure a lot of the same things will come to mind. But for you, like, what are some of the things where you look back on it and went, man, it's so cool that we got to do this and that we did this as a part of a podcast talking about hockey?
The first thing that's going to always jump out to me is getting to suit up in goalie equipment and face like a professional hockey team. So I'm not a hockey player. Never was. Like,
it's not true. You
no,
can skate.
like I play
You
in
can
men's
play.
leagues. But like,
you can play.
What I mean by that is like,
you're
no,
you're
definitely
not a goalie.
What I mean by that is I did not grow up playing hockey. I was not. You played in college and after in junior. I didn't do any of that. I played baseball. I played football, and like that was kind of it. I didn't play hockey until I graduated college and joined men's leagues, and stumbled into goalie equipment one day when I was in San Jose because we just needed we needed a body to go out there for staff ice. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I played baseball. It's kind of similar, even though it's definitely not. And I was just like, make it work. And we made that bet, and I lost, which I still to this day think the Patriots should have won that Thanksgiving game. They lost, and next thing I know, we're in this room, and I'm suiting up. And I was actually watching the footage the other day because I was like, the footage is on my computer at home, my personal computer, like the unedited stuff, and I had to like clean space or whatever. So I was moving on to an external hard drive, but I was like watching through it. It's just, that was so fun because like, when is someone like me, average Joe, just going to be able to pop in and go up against a professional hockey team as a goalie? And that day was a lot of fun. A lot of work. I was exhausted. You don't realize how tiring it is. But that was a lot of fun. So that's one that always stands out to me as like a moment. The other stuff, like I just think back to like there's certain interviews and certain guests that stand out to me, like interviewing Jesper when we were sitting up top in the broadcast booth is one that resonates with me. The Skype, not Skype. Oh my God, I just referenced Skype. That's crazy.
Wow.
Huh? That's wild.
Crazy.
Anybody out there know what Skype is? Abby, do you know what Skype is?
Yes.
All right. Well, I didn't know. I don't know. Nobody uses that anymore.
That does seem like a generation before her.
Yeah, nobody uses that anymore.
That you know that.
Zoom. Sorry.
Yeah, Zoom. Wow.
But like
Remember
Zoom,
the Skype
like
noise, like
like
that Skype noise when you sign on. Okay, we're going into the weeds. We gotta go into the weeds.
I could tell a story about Skype. Lee Bodden was a cornerback, played for the Patriots, and one day it was like, hey, I'm just going to start Skyping random fans, and I got a call from him and talked to him for like 10 minutes once. It was pretty sweet. Anyways, I think back to the video calls that we did with like Bill Guerin and Matt Boldy. Like those are two video ones that stand out for me, and then like talking to Brett McLean and having the foreshadowing that like he would then become the head coach. You were out sick. I did like my first like actual journalist interview sit down with him on this show, which I think I knocked out of the park.
You sure did.
So like those are some of the episodes that stand out to me. But then there's also like just so many stories, like the Dakota Mermis stories about
being washed away in the flood.
Washed away in the flood, or being out in the middle of nowhere and
having to face a certain
having
way.
to face a certain direction to call
I forgot
people,
about
and
that.
like recently talking to Troy Grosnick and just being able to reconnect with him. I'm funneling through the list right now.
You're literally, I've got them written down, some of the ones that I wanted to bring up, and it's funny, you're knocking them down. I'm watching you just tick them off here on my list of memories that I wrote down.
We had gone 19 episodes talking about Adam Beckman and the lore of Adam Beckman in the locker room and how loud and rambunctious he is, and we would talk about him, and we finally got him on to talk, and like that was the whole thing. The shaky episode.
And his great line where he goes, "I'm starting to think you guys didn't like me. Like,
you
didn't have me on for so long. I've been here for 3 years."
Yeah, like the shaky episode was great, and there's been the cold tubs, the
cold
Mason
tub
Shaw
that was one of our
that
shining moments, I think.
That was one. I mean, we had some good bets on the side, like we had the floor hockey.
That one I came up late in my memory jog today, where we had the goal contest in floor hockey, and we were tied at the end of the game.
We had the shootout,
but it was a slap shot from center ice shootout.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and that was
crazy
the one.
Drama.
That was
crazy
the one where
drama.
you ended up losing and had to wear full equipment. So like that was one.
Interviewing Joe Hicketts.
Yeah, and like that even just made me think about like the floor hockey season in general, and like how like we took this silly, easy staff floor hockey league over the summer to just kind of bring the group together when it's a little bit slower, and we turned it from like a 1 to a 12 on the scale.
You
and
really cranked it up.
We had we did, and people don't know this because it was like an internal thing.
Yeah.
We held a draft. We recorded the entire draft. It was like the NFL draft.
We had a
podium. Yep. It was a whole thing. Like we had someone would get picked, and an overlay would come up with like it was. We might have had someone who played college football, and their college football photo popped up with like fake facts about who they are and what they did, and like that stuff was just so fun to do. But yeah, that one's not really podcast related, but got me thinking about that. Getting the bet. But
and I think you bring that the draft.
Exit day was awesome last year. That was a really fun one to do.
But you bring up the draft, and that's a great illuminating point on why you and your group succeed so much on the marketing front, because that example of, like you said, you put it perfectly, taking this simple just staff camaraderie idea of floor hockey, which has been going on long before you and I arrived with the Iowa Wild, but taking it and all of a sudden you add a draft and video and press releases, and the creativity level that you and your staff have worked with in my time watching your group work has been unparalleled. That's one of the reasons, that creativity, that ability to take something simple and turn it into something grand is one of the reasons why, I mean, your staff has multiple trophies inside the marketing department. Marketing department of the year, other awards that you can get to more than I can off the top of my head, but that is such a great example of why there's been so much success under your watch in that department, because of your group, your ability, but your group's ability to take something so small and simple and make it full of joy and just this grand thing that at its face value is just a simple floor hockey league, but it turns into something way more than that everybody was so dialed in on. Remember how, you'd be walking in the hallway and someone would make a comment about something about the floor hockey game 2 days ago. It really was. Yeah.
I'm looking at the overlays now, and I'm first of all very impressed with my logo creating skills. You did create a logo for it. Not only did we have a league logo, but we had a draft logo. Like I'm looking at Alec Lesnar, like hometown was in there, and then like 3 silly things, like
funny, silly facts.
Loves the idea of pets in the office. Alec hates the idea of pets in the office. I put that he's a Michigan man. He caught a bird once in the office. If you followed our socials, there was a bird in our marketing office one day, and we couldn't get it. Alec was one that caught it. So like, there's some really good ones in here. Some really funny ones. You didn't get an overlay because you weren't in the draft. You were a captain of the draft.
Captain.
But like my overlay,
they slept
that I created for myself.
They shouldn't have slept on you.
League commissioner ran illegal the Iowa Wild Staff Floor Hockey League. We abbreviate as IWSFHL. because it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Ran an illegal IWSFHL gambling ring. That was because we were making bets on the podcast about floor hockey games.
That's right.
Not fast. Put that in there. So like we just, I don't know. We had a lot of fun with it.
We did.
And it was, I'm trying to find the video, just to not for this, but so we can watch it later.
We can watch it later.
Yeah.
Transitioning from the podcast to just your job as a whole, like you said, this podcasting journey has really been one of more of a personal enjoyment for you and I, and our fans have enjoyed it too. But nowhere in either of our job descriptions did it say operate and run a podcast.
No.
It happened organically, and here we are almost 50 episodes in, and it's grown a ton since we first started. But from the marketing director side, favorite promo nights, favorite games, like man, what a game this was to take in. What are some of the moments and memories that come to mind for you?
There's a lot that come to mind. Well, I think the concert nights are always big ones just because they're the biggest nights of the year in terms of how many people were in the building, but the work that goes in behind the scenes on my end, at least being the person who spearheaded those last 2 years, and from booking the artists to make sure that they see everything through that night, and those are always fun nights and long, coming in at 6 a.m. and not leaving till midnight. Those are the days, those ones will stick out to me for sure. Funny enough, I don't remember much from opening night, my very first game, outside of being stressed out trying to get the players lined up for intros, because Tim Army, as we all know, loved to talk, and first games, getting the guys fired up, and the intro video is running, and nobody had come out of the locker room yet, and they had to come all the way down the hallway, and so I'm running back and forth, we're getting them lined up, and it all ended up working out just in the nick of time. That's one that resonates with me. There's so many. Your Pink in the Rink nights. The first time we did Pride Night was awesome. It was a huge hit, and just trying to do fun and exciting things. I think back to you talk about the awards, just the campaigns and building this. It starts in Des Moines campaign, and all the stuff we did to win marketing department of the year. I mean, there's just so many little pieces that come together to make one big piece that kind of stand out to me. But then a lot of it's the stuff that happens behind the scenes that nobody gets to see, and it's the long hours and the friendships you make. I always say, working in sports, they're some of the people you become closest with in life and in general, because they're the ones who have the same schedule that you do, right? Mm-hmm. We work weird hours, long hours, nights, weekends, holidays. There are times when, if you get a day off, nobody else has that same day off except for the people that you work with. So those are the people that you spend a lot of your time with. So some of my closest friends in life have been through working in sports. So I think that's that's a part of it that will be missed. The job I'm going into, it's more on the nonprofit side of things, but still has a sports connection to it. So not totally removed. It's just not on the team side of sports anymore. So it's going to be different, and it'll be exciting. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm probably not even thinking of. We could sit here and truthfully talk all afternoon if we wanted to. But yeah, it'll just it's going to be different, but it'll be nice. I mean, I'm looking forward to being able to get back home. Like you said, it's something I haven't been able to do in a while, right? I was in San Jose for 5 years, and I've been out here 4 years. So it's really been almost a decade if you just take out the year that I was home during the COVID season, which nobody was really doing anything. Outside of that, I haven't really been home. So, it'll be different, but it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, our relationship is a testament to what you just said, where you develop these relationships, and I've talked about this with players too. When you go through fires with people and you go through trials with people, and you and I have certainly been arm in arm a few times with things that have happened here, and fires that you've helped put out of mine, and fires that I've helped put out of yours, and fires of other people's that we put out together. I mean, that's just how it works, and that's how an organization works. You come to respect people, and you come to really enjoy people, and that is the case with you and I. So well put. At that, I think we should transition over to the third period, where we'll have your final Wildwear read.
Yeah. And the surprise that it's like it's been in the back of my mind.
Here it comes.
I
Here it comes.
want to know what it is.
Here it
so
comes. Here it comes.
Yeah, I'm
Period
looking
3.
forward to it.
Let's get there. On to period 3, our final period 3, as I try to keep the dust out of my eyes here, partner. And as always, we'll do our final Wildware read. I'm going to have to really work
You gotta step your game up.
chops
Yep.
for these reads now. There's a lot of pressure being all of a sudden shifted away from you and onto me. But for one final time, this period is presented by Wildware.
Yeah. Wildware.com, the official online store of your Iowa Wild. With the largest selection of Iowa Wild fan gear, one-of-a-kind apparel, and exclusive specialty merchandise, there's always something new at wildware.com. Don't miss out. Head to the website now and start shopping. The latest in the Wildware store, which we're going to talk about here in a sec, but the Veterans Appreciation Night, kind of a Houston Aeros heritage, hockey history, hockey homage kind of night. We're going to rebrand as the Iowa Aeros, so there's going to be a whole Iowa Aeros Veterans Appreciation kind of specialty line that's in the store. So keep an eye out for that coming up on the 16th of November.
I am stoked about it. I remember you showing me the mock-ups of the jerseys
It's sharp.
in the off-season, and as someone who is obviously, fans know this, I adore the elder days of hockey and the lineage of where the Iowa Wild came from. Obviously celebrating the Houston Aeros, celebrating everything that was once the Aeros and is now the Iowa Wild is big for me. And speaking of celebrations, this has been a celebratory episode, and we thought of no better way to finish it than with a little surprise, as one of the things we spent a lot of time doing at the Iowa State Fair on a day that will live in infamy forever for us, and the inability to throw cow chips that day was finding the cow chip trophy. Well, Joey, to officially send you off into your next frontier,
Come on.
we do have the trophy here today.
You're lying.
And we have our
Wow.
friend Luke Matthews from
This is
KIOA
unbelievable.
and ESPN 1350, who's here to bring you the trophy. And it is even grander than we could have imagined, isn't it?
Oh my God. So I've mentioned before that I've seen it. This is actually my first time holding it. Man, what an honor. My name's on it. Look at that.
Oh, I didn't even see that yet.
Ab, you may need to zoom in on that. I don't know if you can see that. So, all right, Luke, walk me through this trophy
Yeah,
here.
let's grab a headset.
Get a
Sit
headset.
down, Luke. Sit
We'll
down.
Plop a squat.
All right.
Let's talk through this here.
Hi, fellas.
Hey, thanks for bringing this by. This
Yeah.
is
You
You
awesome.
bet. And officially, congratulations.
Thank you. So, all right, talk me through this here. How did this come to be?
Well, the cow chip contest has been going on at the State Fair for more than 40 years. And we had a traveling trophy for quite some time. And with all due respect to the history of the trophy, it was just one step below a beer league bowling trophy. I mean, I think it even had like some kind of an angel or something on the top. It was
Not sure that fits.
It was very dime store trophy, and quite honestly, after about 40 years, the trophy was lost. It disappeared. We have no idea where it went, and we thought to ourselves, this is a perfect opportunity to sort of reboot the celebratory nature of winning the cow chip throwing contest. So we decided to come up with something new, and what better than to have a symbol of the contest than the golden chip. And I can assure you with 100% certainty that is a real, honest-to-goodness cow pie, just goldenized for our winner.
So, and I know there's a story there. How did you get that? How'd you get that? Because I'm curious, and I'm sure there's people out there who are curious. But how'd you get that?
It's one of those scenarios where it's better to just beg for forgiveness. And so 1 year after the cow chip throwing contest, I might have smuggled this out of the Iowa State Fairgrounds. It may have gone in a lunch bag that I use on a daily basis.
God.
It was cleaned and sanitized afterwards. I promise
Well,
you
they told
that.
us the chips. Remember when we did it? They were like,
Yeah.
yeah they clean and sanitize them.
What does
but
that look like?
I don't know how that
How
works.
do you clean cow poo?
I don't know.
Also, cow
Do
poo
you know? I
smuggling.
don't
Do you ever think that'd be on your resume, Luke?
No, it was a first for me, and I really hope that it doesn't become a
last.
habit. Yeah, it's the one and only time I'm going to do it. There was a lot of pressure. I felt like everyone was watching me. Every state patrolman I walked by at the fairgrounds, I was minding my P's and Q's to make sure they didn't need a reason to shake me down.
Well, Luke, I can't thank you enough for coming and making this special day for Joey that much more special. As much fun as we had on this podcast episode today, there's no way it could ever come close to the joy I'm sure, Joey, you're feeling right now.
This is unbelievable.
To see the trophy.
This is like you guys win the Stanley Cup. We've talked about this for so long. We went looking for this for so long. And Jeremy's over there. She can confirm. We must check in the table 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, we just kept
and we just couldn't find it. Nobody would show us where it was. But yeah, this is pretty cool.
And we've been talking. He's planning on coming back to defend his title, even though he's going to be out east now and getting a chance to go home for the first time in a decade for him, which is exciting for Joey and his family. He's planning on coming back. And this is not – he wants 2025 written on – actually, he might even try to make a claim for 2024, putting his name down there as the carryover winner from last year.
Get a little piece of hockey tape.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed
asterisks
when I heard that you wanted to come back for that because, let's be honest, you're more of an athlete than anybody else in that VIP division.
Wow.
I
so
disagree
this
with
is
that, Luke.
This is something that so the 2023 year when it came up, it might have been my dad had sent me the clip of you guys on, and he's a ringer, this and that. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean.
You needed to be in the regular men's division.
Which I'm going to end up doing next year
you're
when I come
have
back
to.
because I'm going to have to. But
you won't have the Wild logo to throw around anymore.
And this one, for clarity for everybody out there, this is the Celebrity Division trophy. So
we should almost tell that story to these guys. Like when we walked in, we didn't know what we were signing
have
up
I ever
for.
told you guys that story?
It's pretty good.
See, we walked in and the whole thing came to be we're trying to figure out what to do at the state fair, what's going to be fun and just different than just walking around and talking to people. And we found the cow chip contest. This is a no-brainer. This is what we're going to do. We walked in to sign up, and there were 3 sheets on the table: men's, women's, and celebrity or VIP division.
Yeah.
And we were like, we didn't know what to sign up for. And the woman sitting at the table goes, "You guys have a camera? You guys are VIPs." Okay, sure.
You've got legitimate names that people in Iowa know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Paul Yeager on here, like Lou Sipple. These are names on here.
Steve Pope,
Yeah,
1, 2,
like
3,
you're
4, 5,
seeing-
6 years running.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
seeing actual names of, like, if you bring that up in public, people know who that is. If you bring up Joey Goldstein or Ben Gistelson in public, people are like, "Guess who?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" So there could be a little bit of almost some controversy to the fact that we were in that division in the first place, but now that your name's in the trophy, what can you do?
I mean, the fact that you threw almost twice as far as the second place person, I was just like, okay, you have already graduated out of our division. We got a bunch of like radio people and meteorologists that are out here just trying to show up for their families, and here you are coming in just whipping it to the next county.
I didn't think that, truthfully, I didn't think it was going to go that far when
Nobody
I threw
did.
it. The trees, like the way it was set up, the trees are in the way, and it caught the air right and slid right under the trees, and it made it work, but not what I expected. But I'll take it.
Luke,
I'll take it.
thanks so much for coming. Thank you for presenting Joey with this trophy. This is the best possible way we could have bookended this episode and bookended Joey's time as a co-host of this podcast and with the Wild. So thanks so much for being here and putting some poo on the table for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Let's go do a photo shoot.
Yeah.
Let's go do a photo shoot. And here we are. You, me, and this trophy. This trophy that we were just just looking through the names, and a former mayor is on here, sheriff's on here. There's a lot of names. On
Integral people in the history of Des Moines and Iowa.
Yeah, and then
And
me.
you.
And then me. So it is pretty funny. I do kind of want to put like the little piece of hockey tape and just write my name and just have it sit there. But so little did I know, we talked about it. I thought that this was going to be like a photo op kind of thing, and we were going to come in and they were going to let us do this bit, and then they were going to take it back and let that be it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case. Traveling trophy.
Yeah.
This is coming back to Massachusetts with me, and it's going to be, I think, the centerpiece of Thanksgiving, and it'll be on the table for everybody to see, and I'm basically going to hang on to it, and then when I come back out next year to defend my title, I got to bring it back with me, and hopefully win it again if they let me into that celebrity division. I don't know if they will at this point.
And that's going to be I think they have to, because
You
you're
think
the
so?
defending you're the defending champion.
It's true.
And if they do remove you from it, then I mean,
I will say though,
that's going to be a big red flag.
if I do get removed from it, because technically I'm not like a celebrity here anymore. Although I would argue, well, listen, Ben. I had so many people come in, and you know how many people.
I know that I'm leaving. I'm not going to be a celebrity anymore. I'm going to miss the people stopping me on the street.
That's what I was just going to say. How many people stop me at the fair or at games? Hey, it's the cow chip guy. I had people doing that up to this season asking me about that. So, like, there is some celebrity status. It might be Z-list celebrity. There's some celebrity status with that. However, if I'm not within the celebrity division anymore and I'm with the common folk, right? Let's say that is the case.
The pedestrians.
We talked about getting a small scale version. That's what happens when guys win the Norris or they win the Vesna. You take your picture with the big one, and then you get the small little one to put in your mantle. If I can somehow smuggle a cow chip like Luke did, I'll create a small one, and I'll just always have that.
You will.
Well,
it's like when we interviewed Bill Guerin. We saw his Stanley Cups. The
you
same
get
thing
the minis.
The little
you get the
minis.
minis.
He had
Correct.
those in the corner of his office. So, yeah, that would be a worthwhile endeavor, I think. To officially enshrine it forever in Goldstein lore.
Yep. And we talked about the photo shoot. We've got maybe we superimpose it at the end, but the infamous Kobe Bryant photo in the shower with the championship trophy. We took a similar photo, so we'll see if we can drop that in, or that may just stay with us. We put it. You talked about framing it, putting it at your desk. So
I'm definitely keeping it at my desk. There's going to be the picture of my wife and I, and then there's going to be you in the stall with
elite company.
It is. For as this show moves forward.
What does the future of this look like? Let's let people know, because I'm sure that's a question.
It's going to continue. It's absolutely going to continue. And I've kicked around a few different ideas, but I think what I would like to do is I think we're going to hold tryouts. I think we've got some people that might make great co-hosts.
And so you say tryouts. Now let's specify, like, you have people that you want to try out.
Oh, yes.
It's not
this
like
isn't an open
not an open
casting call. No,
yes,
this
correct.
isn't that. There are people who I've got in mind, some that have been on the show before, others that have not, that I think
some that have, but people don't know that they've been on the show before.
That's correct. And I think that it could be a really entertaining journey towards who do we find the next person. No one will ever fill the headset like you have filled it, but we think we've got some good candidates that it'll definitely the show is going to shift in how it works for sure, because the rapport between podcast host is important, and we'll never be able to replicate this because there's only one Joey Goldstein. But I think we can continue with what we've done. Obviously, the guests, the structure of the show can stay the same, but it might be a little more even hockey ops oriented, because I think that's the direction it might trend. So we'll see. That's the initial plan right now. So don't worry. As much as we all will miss Joey, the show must go on, and the show will continue.
Who knows? Maybe I get called in as a special guest at some point.
That's definitely
that could be a thing.
That's definitely even if it's only for the state fair in the summer, there's absolutely no question that you're going to be involved in that. So this will not be a farewell forever for you, but certainly a farewell for a bit. That's for sure. From my end, Joey, it really has been. It's been one of the most enjoyable things I've gotten to do in this career of mine. And again, like you said, it was not something that either you nor I planned on when we both joined here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the brainchild. I'm trying to remember how we kind of
it was
came
your
up
idea.
with it.
No, it wasn't. It was your doing. We might have I might have mentioned it briefly once in passing that me and Nick had done it in San Jose.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it sparked something, but it was almost like this podcast was definitely your brainchild. It is your project. I am just a cog in the wheel to it, but that's what it's funny because you'll send out the calendar invites for it, and then you'll be like, oh, I forgot about it. But this is your thing. I'm very hands off with it, aside from putting an agenda together and stuff like that. But a lot of it is you're the one securing the guests. You're kind of doing all the heavy lifting for it. So it was definitely your brainchild, your idea. You were just like, I think it was more of like a, what can we do during the off season to help with content? And this was the easy low hanging fruit, and it turned into 47 episodes and what it will be now going forward.
Correct.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's easy when you can just sit here and just, that's the joke, right? Is that anybody can create a podcast. That's the joke. Anybody can create a podcast, and this is proof of that. It's just find yourself a good subject to talk about and something that people are passionate about, which, as we talked about, our fans are. And we still I get people on game days who are like, hey, last episode was great. When's the next one coming out? Or you should get this person as a guest. Like, we've gotten some really good feedback on some of our guests and some of the episodes. So I'm curious to see what it'll be like when this comes out. Because I don't think many people on the fan base, like, nobody really knows. Like, obviously internally people know, and I've talked a little bit about it, but not a ton of people know. So we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and we've talked about this before, where, like, when Adam Beckman got traded.
Yeah.
Personally, you're just like, oh, I'm going to miss that guy. But also, professionally, it did seem like maybe Adam had reached the end of his road with this organization. He's getting a greener pasture maybe to try to, continue and advance his hockey career. And I feel similar in this, where I'm thrilled for you and all the good that's going to come from going home, from getting out of the rat race of working in sports. I mean, there's going to be – I can't wait until the day when I'm strained after there's been 6 Rockford games in December, and it's crazy and it's hectic, and I check in with you and you're like, yeah, just got my 9 to 5 in and rolled home.
But see, though, like, I think that's also part of what is going to be missed about it, because it is a grind, but that's also so fun. Like, there's a fun element to it. And I was talking with my cousin who had broadcasted in Kalamazoo and Utica for a little bit and left sports completely, and then got pulled back into it. He's like, we're just,
it's like The Godfather.
The people who work in sports, man, it was just like there's a different wiring that makes you want to do this, because it takes a lot, and it is a grind, and there's a lot of hours that come with it. So it's, there's that part of it which I don't think it will ever go away. Like, I'll miss that for sure. But I might like having the time to myself. I may hate having all the free. I don't know. I really don't know. It's gonna be one of those wait and see kind of things. But yeah.
And the flip side of it is, this has been, like I said, it's been such a joy, such a treat to do, and just getting to be your coworker, getting to be your friend, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thanks for all you've done to make this what it is, and you shoveled a lot of aplomb and praise to me for doing this, but there's no chance we are where we are, even close to where we are, than without the passion and without the energy and the effort and the love that you've put into this. So thank you for that, and I'm going to miss you. I'm definitely going to miss you.
Likewise. Yeah. Well, what's the saying? Don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing, right? just do everything 100% all the time, and just put everything you have into it, and good things will come. So that's kind of what I've got for the podcast and my wrap there. But I wanted to make sure I hit on some of the other upcoming things happening in the world of the Iowa Wild to make sure people are in the know. Upcoming games we've got, so obviously school day is coming up this Thursday. Education game, obviously, it's a tougher one for people to get to because it's a 10:30 start, but we're going to have thousands of screaming children in the building. Which
back-to-back for me, which is crazy to think about. I've never had 2 in a row like that.
You're going to have 2 in a row?
Because it was Chicago school day,
well, at least you've got 2 games to kind of break it up. Yeah, you got 2 games to break it up. But, that's going to be –
tight turnaround, though.
That's always a fun one, though, because having the kids in the building is so much fun. There's just a different energy, especially so early in the morning. But that'll be coming up. And then after that, Hockey Fights Cancer Night with, I think we're working with Cops Against Cancer, I think, is our beneficiary for that one. So that's always a fun and exciting night to be a part of as well. So wear your lavender there. And then the first really big marquee specialty night of the season, our Veterans Appreciation Night on the 16th of November. Veterans Appreciation specialty jerseys, we're going to rebrand for the night as the Houston Aeros. Not the Houston Aeros, the Iowa Aeros.
Yeah.
We've taken that Houston logo, we've tweaked it a little bit, add some fun, exciting elements to it. And that rebrand will come out. There's going to be a merch line with it. I'm pretty sure as of this point, nobody has seen the jersey yet. That's going to be unveiled soon, but it has been announced that we are doing this for Veterans Night, so I don't feel bad saying that. And if that changes, Ben will cut this. But we should be good to go. The jerseys are sweet. I think people are going to love them. The merch line to go with it, so it'll be a really cool one to kind of close out, our home games in November, and then it's diving into the busy season. We got a ton of games in December, ton of games in January, and one of those being in January, the Dylan Scott post-game concert. So that'll be obviously exciting, one that I'm planning to come back out for, and then the rest of the year. So that's kind of upcoming theme nights, and then upcoming events for full season and 21 game ticket holders. Meet the team. That'll be out at Dave & Buster's. Meet the team, play some games with them, have dinner, get some autographs. Information has been sent out about that. So if you are a full or 21 game season ticket holder and you have not heard anything, please reach out to your account rep and touch base with them so you can make sure you RSVP for that event. And that's all that is upcoming.
That's
Bus line, 515-318-7863. I wonder if we have one. I wonder if we have one last one.
You have to show me how to sign into this. Another thing that he does that I don't touch is the bus line.
There is one in here. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we need to.
If it doesn't, if it's not hell yes.
No, it's
not
not a hell yes.
If
It's a
not
good
hell
question. It's and the only reason I know we don't have to get to it is because I know who called it in. But it's basically asking about, how do you get started? How do you get your name out there? Wanting to work in sports, have this be your career one day, and that's one we can talk probably at length about. But in short, it's network, connect with people. Don't be afraid to try things. We could probably each give you a Mount Rushmore of 4 things to do if you want to be successful in this industry. So maybe save that for some time down the line.
Save it for another
But
time.
yeah, all right, that's it. That's all I got.
That's a wrap, pal. Well, I think this is your show, your swan song. Bring us home. Anybody that needs to hear from you as you close out your podcasting career, at least with us.
Yeah, well, let's see. We got to make sure we thank everybody. So thanks to Jeremy Core at Executive Podcast Solutions. We should probably let him know, by the way. Thanks to Jeremy Core, Executive Podcast Solutions, for helping get this up and running every week. Thanks to Central Iowa Pool and Spa for sponsoring and keeping this thing afloat. Because without them, we're probably not having this episode.
Nice pun, too, by the way.
Afloat?
Nice pun. Afloat. Hot tubs, pools.
Sure.
I think so.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not. I think
That's
you don't
nice.
float in a hot tub, but it's fine. You could if you wanted
Float in
to,
a
if it's
pool.
big enough. Yeah.
Pool noodles.
We got to thank them because without them, we're probably not doing this
That's
episode.
correct.
Truthfully,
That's correct.
Thanks to Abby being behind the camera and editing all these all the time. Thanks to you, Ben, for being a great co-host. Thanks to the players we've had on, all the people we've interviewed. They've been great. Even if we've had people come on who've been like, we don't know what we're going to get. Everybody's been great.
They've all left in
I
a
don't
good
think
mood.
we've had like a dud of an episode. We've definitely had people come in when they've been like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And they leave and be like, we could have done that for so much longer. I want to come on again. We've heard that a bunch of times. So thank you to that. What else? As it relates to the podcast, I feel like that's kind of everybody. I could thank a whole lot of other people on the hockey ops side, on the business staff side, for anybody who's kind of come and gone, especially in the marketing side, people that we've worked with, all the hard work that they do. I know we've shouted them out before, all the hard work that they put in. We don't have the success as a team, as a department, without all those people putting in hard work. So shout out to everybody there. That's kind of everything. So with that, this has been Ridin' the Bus, presented by Central Iowa Pool and Spa. And as always, 2 honks for the win.